Hey, welcome. Wanted to make a short, kind of free-flowing video. Got some notes here about, this myth, really, that you can kill your ego, or that's actually the goal of spirituality, to kill the ego and to no longer have a personality, and, all this stuff needs to go away. We need to push it away. We need to fight it, right? So I want to go over really two main myths that are associated with ego death and spirituality in general, and then the truths that counteract them. So, first myth we have, in order to be free of suffering, I must kill my ego or my sense of self. Getting right into it. This belief lies in the fact that, uh, what we are is something else. So in order to realize that something else, to see that something else, we must get rid of this other thing. And in reality, the sense of self does not and will not ever go away permanently. You cannot get rid of it. it you simply can't do it. Just try and you will see how futile this is. What really happens in spirituality is that you realize the true nature of the sense of self, and you realize a bigger picture of who you are, which includes the sense of self. It integrates the sense of self, this knowledge of what you are. So you don't need to get rid of it, and the idea that you need to get rid of it, in a way, prevents you from seeing the fullness of your nature. The next myth: in nirvikalpa samadhi, I will experience the death of my ego or my sense of self. This is based kind of on this idea that in nirvikalpa samadhi, the sense of self goes away temporarily. That's the key. In nirvikalpa samadhi, what really happens is the words and sensations that you typically associate with yourself, with who you are, fizzle out temporarily, like in deep sleep. Except what happens in nirvikalpa samadhi is you remain fully aware. You remain not necessarily thinking about what you are, but you remain aware, and you get a bigger picture of your nature, of what you really are. And it doesn't negate what temporarily was disabled, but it allows you to see deeper and see beyond the words and the sensations that you typically associate with who you are. Those two things temporarily are shut off, and then they come back on as soon as you exit. So as soon as you exit, the sense of I exist is going to be there. You can't get rid of it. And typically what is associated with trying to kill the ego is trying to get rid of this sense of I exist, or this sense of just existence in general, this sense of being, the sense of self. And that's wrapped up with our personality and all of these things. But you can't get rid of the personality either. If you're going to be speaking, if you're going to be interacting with people, if you're going to live a life at all, you need the personality to move, to do, to speak, to be. And, the spiritual process is not one of removing the sense of self, but it's about, seeing what you really are by direct insight, rather than taking these beliefs that we have about ourselves at face value. And so all of these beliefs that we have about ourselves, they are limiting, and they typically prevent us from seeing more. They prevent us from seeing more of what we are. And even from just a general psychological standpoint, if you are heavily attached to a certain identity and then some other aspect of your subconscious comes up, you're going to push that away and be attached to what you are, what you think you are. Oh, that's not me. And then you attach this, and then you throw away another aspect of who you are. So in a way, attaching to the sense of self is unnecessary and can cause suffering. However, just as likely to cause suffering is being averse to the sense of self, in the sense of trying to kill it, trying to get rid of it, trying to dissolve it. This thinking, it does nothing but cause conflict, of trying to get rid of the self, the sense of self and the personality. It does nothing but create conflict, because these are natural aspects of the mind. They're natural aspects of your being, of your full being. So by trying to, block them out and remove them from your experience, you're trying to, in a way, you're also limiting yourself again, in a way that you think is doing something more spiritual, but it's not. It's kind of just spiritual ego in a sense. It's this. Before I go further, I think so much time is spent talking about ego, talking about this broad, undefined concept. It's undefined. You ask someone what the ego is, they'll say a million different things all the time. And generally speaking, Westerners, people in the modern world, when they use the word ego, they're referring to Sigmund Freud's definition of ego, which is the personality in general. And then they mix it up with the Eastern concept of ahamkara, which gets translated as ego. And by lesser knowledge, we take this English Western definition and try to apply it to these practices, which are saying you need to overcome ahamkara. And we get screwed up because we don't even know what ahamkara is. So, essentially what I'm saying is, let me define ego. Let's see. So, Freud's definition, as we know, is just the personality in general. It's what's controlling my hands and my mouth and my words right now. And essentially is non-different from the control of my mouth and my hand right now. But the ahamkara is the process of creating a limiting sense of self that you are inherently attached to as your real nature. And what that means is there's this idea you have of what you are, this mental experience of what you are, and you're attached to that, and anything that falls outside of that experience is disregarded or is ignored, and you're confined. You see, your experience of life is now confined into this one thing that you can never not be. And the ahamkara uses the sense of self. The ahamkara is not the sense of self. The ahamkara uses the sense of self to create an experience of what you are that is contradictory to reality. that ignores other aspects of reality. So in a way, you're not even necessarily trying to get rid of this process of formulating ideas about yourself. You're trying to get rid of the attachment to it. You're trying to be looser with it, so you have more opportunities to see beyond, to see more of who you are, and to integrate more of who you are. And in order to do that, you need to be comfortable with self, with selfing, with this process of that naturally occurs in the mind to experience life from a self-referential perspective, such as, this body is here and it needs to go and eat. This self-referential perspective needs to occur, or else you would do nothing at all. You would be basically a carcass. You see? You want to be a carcass? No, you don't. I promise. So, I do want to repeat this one thing, which is attaching oneself to the sense of self is unnecessary. Why? Because it's not going to go away anyway. You don't need to cling to it because it's not going away. But on the other hand, you don't want to be averse to it, because being averse to it, in the same token, it's not going to go away, so you're just creating resistance. So attachment creates resistance to experiencing more, and resistance or aversion to the sense of self creates resistance to experiencing what's right here in front of you. So, to finalize, if you go by the definition, ego equals personality, you will never get rid of it. It's not going to happen. You'll meditate your heart out and be disappointed, I promise you. And you'll do nothing but create conflict in your mind. And another risk of this, and deep meditation that my guru talks about, is what he calls stone samadhi, where instead of going into a samadhi where you're aware and you realize more of what you are, you realize your deeper nature, instead of doing that, you by hanging on to this idea that something about yourself and existing as a self is wrong, by hanging on to that, you essentially get rid of it too soon, and your conscious mind, your awareness, blinks out, and you don't get any benefit from the samadhi state. And it's basically just like a super sleep state, and you're not doing anything. Nothing happens. You're not learning anything. So this is why, especially in the beginning, you do not want to be averse to the ego. You don't want to be averse to the sense of self. You don't want to be averse to being a person, because those are natural expressions of your consciousness right now. And they will always be natural expressions of your consciousness. They can only temporarily go away, but if you are too strongly averse to the sense of self, you will throw the whole baby out with the bathwater. And rather than getting rid of words and sensations, you'll get rid of awareness too. And you won't be able to see what's actually going on. You won't be able to see what you really are. And that's the point of spirituality, is to see, to know directly, to be aware directly of what you are. You're not trying to... It's a process of discovery, not destruction. And I'll repeat that, and that'll be the end of this video. It's a process of discovery, not destruction. So, in a way, you're just realizing more about what you are. I don't want to say too much. This video's gone longer than I wanted it to. But I hope I was able to impart something comprehensible. I hope I was able to explain that clearly, why both of these extremes of attachment and aversion to the sense of self can lead to suffering. So you need to be comfortable with your sense of self. You need to be comfortable with its presence in your awareness, because it is a full expression of your deeper nature. So there needs to be this integration, this seeing through all of life, that the truth resides in all of this. So yeah, discovery, not destruction. Take care.